Good morning students. How are you all? Today I am going to explain you the first chapter of first flight of grade 10, that is A Letter to God. It is written by G.L. Fuentes. I am giving you a brief introduction of G.L. Fuentes. He had written most of the stories in Mexican language, which were later translated by some other American writers. This story is set at the rural area in Mexico. To tell you the introduction of the chapter, this story depicts the infinite faith of a man in God. This is the story of a hardworking farmer named Lencho. This story revolves around the unwavering faith of a Lencho in God, who had lost his crop due to heavy rain and hailstones. He became very sad. However, he had a strong belief in God. He was sure that God would help him in such a difficult situation and would not let him and his family die of hunger. Students, as we know, whenever we are in trouble, we always remember God. Hence, Lench also decided to seek help from God. There are three main characters in the story. Lencho, he was a hardworking farmer and protagonist of the story who lived on the top of the low hill with his family. He had firm faith in God as well as he was innocent person. Second, the postmaster. He was an amiable and generous person. He helped Lencho in difficult situation. He collected 70 pesos from his colleagues and also contributed a part of his salary. Third, post office employees. Post office employees were very helpful. They helped Lenchos on postmaster's call. They laughed when they saw the letter but helped him in his need. Apart from these, there are also some other characters like Lencho's wife and his sons. The story begins with the description of Lencho's house. His house was the only house in the entire valley. It was on the top of a low hill. From there, one could see the river and the fields. Students, as we know that farmers depend on weather. Likewise, Lencho also needed a downpour or shower to nourish his crops and to have a good harvest. So, since morning, he was gazing towards the northeast direction from where the huge clouds were approaching. While looking at the sky, he said to his wife, it would be rain. His wife was busy in preparing supper. Like Lencho, she had also firm faith in God. Lencho's elder children were working in field and the younger ones were playing nearby the house. She called them for meal. During the meal, big drops of rain began to fall. The wind was pleasant and the clouds could be seen approaching from the northeast. Lencho went outside to feel rain on his body. He was extremely delighted. He compared the raindrops with new coins. The big drops were 10-cent pieces and the little one were 5. He was satisfied because the field of ripe corn was covered with droplet, which seemed as if it was wrapped in a curtain. Everything was going as Lencho expected. But suddenly a strong wind started blowing, leading to a hailstones. If the crops had eaten by locusts, something would have been left, but hailstone had destroyed the whole crop. He became disheartened. Lencho was sorrowful because all their hard work had gone in vain. He was worried that they would go hungry that year and also they have no seeds for the next crop. Throughout the night, the Lancho thought only God could help him. Now he had a single hope from God. Although Lancho was an oxman, but he knew how to write and read. So he decided to write a letter to God for help. He asked God to send him 100 pesos so that he could sow his field again and support his family. Postman handed the letter to postmaster, who was an amiable and gentle person. He too laughed on seeing the letter, but soon he realized that Lancho had firm faith in God. He decided to help Lencho with the help of his post office employees. He also contributed a part of his salary. The postmaster could collect only 70 pesos. He put the money inside an envelope and addressed it to Lancho. He only put the signature God. As I told you that Lancho had an unbroken faith in God. As he knew God would not disappoint him, with this thought, on next Sunday, Lancho came to the post office a bit earlier. He asked if there was any letter for him. The postman handed him the letter. On seeing the letter, the Lancho didn't show any surprise. He became angry because there were only 70 pesos, whereas he demanded 100 pesos. He felt that God could not have made a mistake. Immediately, Lancho decided to write a letter again for the rest of the money. He went up to the window to ask for paper and pen. He dropped the letter into the mailbox. After Lancho had gone, the postmaster and the employees read the letter, in which Lancho had complained to God that he had received only 70 pesos, and he also requested God not to send the rest of the money through the money order because he thought that the post office employees were a bunch of crooks who might have stolen his money. So, student, this was the summary of the chapter A Letter to God. The irony of the story is that Lancho suspected the post office employees who helped him in his problem and tried to keep his faith in God.